this is Ollie. Welcome back to You in Korea. I hope you are all safe and well wherever you are. Let me briefly remind you that You in Korea is a channel for those who love Korea, who want to learn more about this country. Here I'm trying to share with you guys the stories of my life for the past 10 years in Korea, give you some information about the country, and maybe some facts that are not really well known worldwide. I hope you enjoy watching our videos. If you like them, please subscribe to our channel, give us thumbs up, and leave your feedback in the comment section. What comes to your mind first when you think about Korea? Probably lots of you would say Korean wave or something related to that. Well, because it's been like this for the past 10 years. It seems that Korea is mostly known in the world through the Korean wave that started hitting the world around 10 years ago. When it comes to the Korean wave, of course, the cultural image is the strongest. Just recently, we talked about how Squid Game won several Emmy Awards. And of course, we all remember the Academy Awards for the movie Parasite. Not to mention K-pop's global popularity. Teams like BTS and Blackpink are loved globally beyond measure. There's a lot of contents related to the Korean wave that we also covered here at You in Korea. These days, Korean cultural influence in the world is immense. It's even rated as the best in the world right now. However, there is one more point about Korea that should not be overlooked. That is huge economic growth. In Korea, there is a phrase, 괄목상대, looking at something with astonishment in disbelief. It basically means something like, rub your eyes, look again, and deal with it, which is used when there is tremendous development that you cannot recognize. That's what Korea's economic growth is about. It would be especially surprising if someone who had been to Korea before 1950s could come back and see it now. We have covered it many times, so you all probably know that Korean War broke out in 1950. The war that started with the invasion of North Korea to the south and lasted for 3 years, leaving many casualties and displaced people. The miserable state that Korea was in after it is indescribable. The country was literally burned to ashes. Around the time of the Korean War, Korea's per capita GNP, gross national product, was around $60. Simply put, it means that a single Korean earned around $60 in a year. It's a ridiculously small amount, right? At that time, Korea was probably the poorest country in the world. As a result of all people tightening their belts and working hard, Korea was able to achieve this huge economic growth. Korea has been carrying out economic development plans step by step under the leadership of the government advocating a free democracy since the war. Korea now has a GNP of $35,000 per person and has become one of the top 10 economies in the world. The per capita GNP has increased 580 times compared to the 1950s. Isn't that amazing? That's why we call this amazing development of Republic of Korea the miracle of the Han River. South Korea is the only country in the history of mankind that has become a country that is now on par with advanced countries in the world. Once the poorest country that received aid now provides aid to the others. The Korean wave is also on the spotlight because it was created with the unique diligence, sincerity, and smart heads of the Koreans. But aren't you curious about the economic situation of North Korea, the mastermind behind the Korean War? The appearance of North Korea right after the war would not have been much different from the South Korea. But now, after the same period, North Korea's per capita GNP is estimated to be only about $2,000. That is 1/17 of the level of South Korea. 70 years after the ceasefire, North Korea is still the poorest country in the world. But what's the reason? As I mentioned, South Korea is a free democracy and made rapid progress in all areas of society: culture, sports, education, economy. But North Korea has taken the absolutely opposite path. North Korea is the country that advocated communism and created 3 generations of dictators. Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un made their people very miserable by focusing only on protecting their dictatorship during their 3-generation hereditary succession. We introduced the True North, Remember Me, an animation that informs about the tragedy of the North Korea, right? We also mentioned it on our video about BTS and ARMY, so check it out if you're interested. Do you know this picture behind me? This is a night view of the Korean peninsula from the satellite. As you can see, whereas South Korea is bright as day, in North Korea it's really hard to find any light except of some parts of Pyongyang. Experts even estimate the country's economic level with the light picture. This picture clearly shows the difference in economic and national power between South Korea and North Korea. South Korea has grown hundreds of times and became a world leader. North Korea has become the poorest country in the world, unable to protect even the most basic human rights, such as food shortages, daily necessities, and medicine. North Korea's hereditary regime has spent enormous amounts of money for decades on their nuclear tests, missile launches, and armed provocations, despite the fact that their people are dying in poverty without even essential supplies such as medicine. But even being the poorest country in the world, North Korea still concentrates mainly on their nuclear development, on missile launches, instead of thinking about their economic growth and protecting their human rights. Recently, North Korea made provocations against South Korea and the international community. In November alone, they already fired 36 missiles and more than 200 artillery shots. More specifically, North Korea fired a total of 25 missiles and more than 100 artillery shots in one day on 2nd of November. On this day, North Korea fired the most missiles in a day after the Korean War, that is, after the division. It even launched a short-range ballistic missile south of the North Limit Line for the first time. The missile headed towards Ulleungdo Island and landed in the high seas near Sokcho. Because of this, air raid warnings were issued throughout Ulleungdo Island in Korea, and residents were told to evacuate. On the 3rd of November, 3 missiles were fired in the morning. One of them was an intercontinental ballistic missile, which has a long range, making it not only Korea but also Japan nervous. As a result, the ICBM failed to fly normally, but even in the afternoon, North Korea continued to threaten by firing ballistic missiles. On the 4th of November, North Korea dispatched about 180 military aircrafts to various areas and East and West Sea close to Tactical Action Line, which is the basis for the South Korean military's immediate response. North Korea fired 4 short-range missiles in the West Sea on the 5th of November and 1 short-range ballistic missile on the 9th. The cost of a single missile is astronomical, but this month alone, how much money has North Korea already burned? North Korea has closed its borders due to COVID-19, making it increasingly difficult for people to leave. But then they explain these many missile launches as doing it for the people. As I said, launching a missile costs astronomical amounts of money. You're probably curious how much, right? Well, I'll tell you. According to Radio Free Asia, U.S. military expert Bruce Bennett said North Korea fired missiles that cost up to $75 million only on the 2nd of November alone. This means that North Korea spent all their food expenses in one day, on the same scale as North Korea's annual rice imports to China before the outbreak of COVID-19. North Korea is still exploiting its people to develop weapons. This is probably why GDP of the two Koreas has been more than 70 times different since the division. The international community has repeatedly criticized North Korea's Kim Jong-un dictatorship for its unconventional behavior, but he never listened to it at all. North Korea is a serious threat not only to the Republic of Korea, but also to Northeast Asia and even world peace. North Korea's Kim Jong-un's regime should wake up now. I hope you do your best to ensure that your people can live normally and humanely without spending any money on nuclear tests, missile launches, and armed provocations. Okay guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. I will be bringing more interesting topics in the future as well. Until then, please stay with us. Subscribe to our channel, give us thumbs up, and leave your feedback and video requests in the comment section. I will be back soon, and until then, 안녕!